one of the misconceptions about the patent office is that it was actually paying for ideas or inventions. People were paid like 10 cents or up to $1 or something, or even $20 depending. And sometimes if the idea was good enough, it would actually be built. I use this to actually secure the 18th century. So basically, you know, when people would bring ideas or working inventions to the patent office or to the idea office, they were paid money. And sometimes they would mail in their ideas or inventions. It was mostly for inventions, things that could be used in society. And then a list was made, and then if they were good ideas or whatever, they're always paid some amount. For any entry was paid some amount, and we called it restitution. But then actual working things or working ideas were actually paid real money or more money. And if they actually built a prototype, then they would get paid even more if that prototype actually worked, of course. So there's a lot of random things that were entered. And if it was a really good idea, that thing actually would go into production. And that's something around that was happening around the 17th to 18th century. And kind of how I secured everything, or secured down the countries and everything, allowed me to basically buy countries and own countries. Was at the patent office or the idea office. It kind of started out in Germany, and in Germany, people would go to a big meeting hall, and first they would send in their entry, and then if they knew how to do something or whatever, there was 1,000 people, or later on 1,500 people, and I think even 2,500 people possibly. I don't know exactly how when I did the cutoff, but I wanted new factories to be built. So about 1,500 people or 1,000 people at first. First started out 500 people or so, and then it went up to 1,000 people or whatever as more things were needed. But these people factories were built for these people, and these people were put in charge of factories or farms, depending. But these people would all assemble inside of a big, huge meeting room, and they're divided up. I think they were divided up possibly into men and women. I don't know. I know. It was families and singles. That's right. No. They're divided up into families and singles. Families got precedence over singles because houses were being built for these people well. So they'd get a house and a factory. And so I preferred to give families the actual factories rather than the singles. So they're divided up, not men and women, but families and single people. Or so, you know. But I guess there was later on a ruling where if they were married or together, then they could also, depending on the list, you know, because there's so many people with families anyway. So anyway, it's just one of those things. And then later on with the patent office, I opened it up again and said, okay, well, I'll pay for ideas. And then people send in all these random wacky ideas, and all of them got money, some amount. If it was just a silly, stupid idea, it was just shelved. And it's like, oh, that's great, it's new, okay, put it on a shelf. And if it was a really good idea, then a factory would be built, and and the person would be paid a fair amount of money, and the factory would go to production, building that idea. And usually the person would supervise some amount before another group before managers would actually take it over. So anyway, something that happened around 17th, 18th century, 19th century that was going on, one of my projects. Anyway, that's kind of how I ended up owning everything. So yeah, anyway, and then people like to just screw with me. Kind of interesting though.